Hello, welcome back. Welcome back. I'm John, old YouTuber. It's Sunday today. Have a good Sunday. I just been driving American Truck Simulator, and I was just to go to bed again and watch Netflix. But I have three PDF I would like to read. Extreme ultraviolet lithographic. That's the only company. This company ASML. That's the only company in the whole world making machines to make computer chips like Intel processors, CPUs, some kind of super high-tech science, space science, ultraviolet lithographic. No, that's some ultra small. They make this silicon wafers. They make a mirror of the transistors. The shining super tight light down to this silicon wafers. This like 10 nanomillimeters and below 10 nanomillimeters size transistors. They make an image of this like a painting of the transistors. They make an image down to the wafer, but that's so super tiny. I can barely imagine how small it is. But this company ASML Holding, that's the only company on the whole planet Earth making this super advanced machines. Cost like $150 million or up to 200 million, so it's so expensive. Nobody, only like Intel and TSMC, this Taiwan Semiconductors Corporation, this TSCM in Taiwan. There's only companies like that can afford to pay 200 millions. And China don't have this kind of machines yet. So they are making the next generation of like the Intel processor CPU was made by this EUV, extreme ultraviolet light, like 10 nanomillimeters and below, like 7 down to 5 nanomillimeters. I don't know how far they can go, probably down to 3 nanomillimeters. But one time in the future, in like 10 years, 5 or 10 years, they have a even better technology. Can make the transistors even smaller. I don't know if they can go all the way down to 1 nanomillimeter. One day they maybe go down to computer processors, CPUs, down to like 1 nanomillimeter and even lower. So before it was micrometers, it was like 0.5 micrometers, like 500 nanomillimeters, like 0. No, I have 3 micrometers. The first Intel CPUs, I think that was like 1000 nanomillimeters something. Then they go all the way down to 10 now, and then 7 and now 5. I think TSCM, Taiwan Semiconductor Corporation, I'm not sure the name, they're making down to 5 nanomillimeters. But we can maybe keep this video in one part, so let's try to do that. Activate. Read end of documents.
Extreme ultraviolet. Extreme ultraviolet composite image of sun. Red, 21.1 nm. Green, 19.3 nm. Blue, 17.1 nm. Taken by the Solar Dynamics Observatory on August 1, 2010, showing a solar flare and coronal mass ejection. 13.5 nm. Extreme ultraviolet light is used commercially for photolithography as part of the semiconductor fabrication process. This image shows an early experimental tool. Extreme ultraviolet radiation, EUV or XUV, or high-energy ultraviolet radiation, is electromagnetic radiation in the part of electromagnetic spectrum spanning wavelengths from 124 nm down to 10 nm, and therefore, by the Planck-Einstein equation, having photons with energies from 10 eV up to 124 eV. EUV is naturally generated by the solar corona and artificially by plasma, high harmonic generation sources and synchrotron light sources. Since UVC extends to 100 nm, there is some overlap in the terms. The main uses of extreme ultraviolet radiation are photoelectron spectroscopy, solar imaging, and lithography. In air, EUV is the most highly absorbed component of the electromagnetic spectrum, requiring high vacuum for transmission. Contents: EUV generation, direct tunable generation of EUV. EUV absorption in matter, solar minima / maxima. EUV damage. See also. References. External links. EUV generation. Neutral atoms or condensed matter cannot emit EUV radiation. Ionization must take place first. EUV light can only be emitted by electrons which are bound to multi-charged positive ions. For example, to remove an electron from a +3 charged carbon ion, 3 electrons already removed require about 65 eV. 1. Such electrons are more tightly bound than typical valence electrons. The existence of multi-charged positive ions is only possible in a hot dense plasma. Alternatively, the free electrons and ions may be generated temporarily and instantaneously by the intense electric field of a very high harmonic laser beam. The electrons accelerate as they return to the parent ion, releasing higher energy photons at diminished intensities, which may be in the EUV range. If the released photons constitute ionizing radiation, they will also ionize the atoms of the harmonic generating medium, depleting the sources of higher harmonic generation. The freed electrons escape since the electric field of the EUV light is not intense enough to drive the electrons to higher harmonics, while the parent ions are no longer as easily ionized as the originally neutral atoms. Hence, the processes of EUV generation and absorption, ionization, strongly compete against each other. However, in 2011, Shamhu Gimaya et al. First observed high harmonic generation in bulb crystals of zinc oxide. It draws interest to invest the possibility and mechanism of HHG in solid state. EUV radiation can be emitted in silicon dioxide or sapphire. Direct tunable generation of EUV. EUV light can also be emitted by free electrons orbiting a synchrotron. Continuously tunable narrowband EUV light can be generated by 4-wave mixing in gas cells of krypton and hydrogen to wavelengths as low as 110 nm. 2. In windowless gas chambers, fixed 4-wave mixing has been seen as low as 75 nm. EUV absorption in matter. When an EUV photon is absorbed, photoelectrons and secondary electrons are generated by ionization, much like what happens when X-rays or electron beams are absorbed by matter. 3. The response of matter to EUV radiation can be captured in the following equations. Point of absorption: EUV photon energy equals 92 eV, equals electron binding energy plus photoelectron initial kinetic energy within 3 mean free paths of photoelectron. 12 nm reduction of photoelectron kinetic energy equals ionization potential plus secondary electron kinetic energy, within 3 mean free paths of secondary electron, tilde 30 nm1. Reduction of secondary electron kinetic energy equals ionization potential plus tertiary electron kinetic energy. 1 month generation electron slows down aside from ionization by heating, phonon generation. 2 final generation electron kinetic energy tilde 0 eV equals and GT dissociative electron attachment plus heat where the ionization potential is typically 7-9 eV for organic materials and 4-5 eV for metals. The photoelectron subsequently causes the emission of secondary electrons through the process of impactionization. Sometimes, an Auger transition is also possible, resulting in the emission of 2 electrons with absorption of a single photon. Strictly speaking, photoelectrons, Auger electrons and secondary electrons are all accompanied by positively charged holes, ions which can be neutralized by pulling electrons from nearby molecules, in order to preserve charge neutrality. An electron-hole pair is often referred to as an exciton. For highly energetic electrons, the electron-hole separation can be quite large and the binding energy is correspondingly low, but at lower energy, the electron and hole can be closer to each other. The exciton itself diffuses quite a large distance, and GT 10 nm. 4. As the name implies, an exciton is an excited state, only when it disappears as the electron and hole recombine, can stable chemical reaction products form. Since the photon absorption depth exceeds the electron escape depth, as the released electrons eventually slow down, they dissipate their energy ultimately as heat. EUV wavelengths are absorbed much more strongly than longer wavelengths, since their corresponding photon energies exceed the bandgaps of all materials. Consequently, their heating efficiency is significantly higher, and has been marked by lower thermal ablation thresholds in dielectric materials. 5. Solar minima/maxima. Certain wavelengths of EUV vary by as much as 2 orders of magnitude, 6, between solar minima and maxima, and therefore may contribute to climatic changes, notably the cooling of the atmosphere during solar minimum. EUV damage. Like other forms of ionizing radiation, EUV and electrons released directly or indirectly by the EUV radiation are a likely source of device damage. Damage may result from oxide desorption, 7, or trapped charge following ionization. 8. Damage may also occur through indefinite positive charging by the Morse effect. If free electrons cannot return to neutralize the net positive charge, positive ion desorption, 9, is the only way to restore neutrality. However, desorption essentially means the surface is degraded during exposure, and furthermore, the desorbed atoms contaminate any exposed optics. EUV damage has already been documented in the CCD radiation aging of the Extreme UV Imaging Telescope, EIT. 10. Radiation damage is a well-known issue that has been studied in the process of plasma processing damage. A recent study at the University of Wisconsin synchrotron indicated that wavelengths below 200 nm are capable of measurable surface charging. 11. EUV radiation showed positive charging centimeters beyond the borders of exposure, while VUV, vacuum ultraviolet, radiation showed positive charging within the borders of exposure. Studies using EUV femtosecond pulses at the free electron laser in Hamburg, Flash, indicated thermal melting induced damage thresholds below 100 mJ/centimeter. 2.12. An earlier study, 13, showed that electrons produced by the soft ionizing radiation could still penetrate 100 nm below the surface, resulting in heating. See also Extreme Ultraviolet Explorer. Extreme Ultraviolet Variability Experiment. Extreme Ultraviolet Imaging Telescope. High Harmonic Generation. CHIP SAT. Extreme Ultraviolet Lithography. List of Plasma Physics articles. References.
Good, did finish. I did download a fresh copy yesterday, so that was last edit 15 July, long time ago. Just like to continue next one, but I take a break